All right. Yes. If you haven't heard yet, or if you're on the West Coast like me and you just woke up an hour ago and you got the news later than everybody else, the Bears have signed a replacement for Kyler Gordon temporarily, who could versatilely move other places if needed. But this is clearly a signing to help with our nickel position. CJ Gardner Johnson is a very, very talented athlete who, let's just say there's some hesitation by some to welcome him into the fold of Chicago Bears football due to his off the field issues and problem with teammates. Let's hope that his relationship with Dennis Allen, his desire to prove himself again, is what takes him over the top for the Bears. This is what most Bears fans might remember CJ Gardner Johnson for. This is with Dennis Allen. So from 2019 as a rookie to 2021, he was with Dennis Allen. Extremely talented. We'll get into his stats. We'll get into his playing positions in just a second. But this is the this is the famous game where Javon Wims dropped the ball. But also in this game, sticking up for his teammate, which I can respect. But this is way too far, obviously.
And that is Gardner Johnson in the face of Anthony Miller. And then just now, Wims. Man.
Well, that's just not smart football.
All right, so obviously maybe some things he's got to work on there. Let's make me smaller because we got to let you guys read this. Over here on the far right, you've got just from, AI overview, the Houston Texans cut CJ Gardner Johnson after 3 games due to a combination of behind-the-scenes friction and a trade request rather than performance issues. So take the highlight there. It's not because he sucks. He's a very talented player. After his time with New Orleans, he's bounced around a little bit from Philadelphia, won a Super Bowl, to Detroit, Philadelphia, and now with Houston this last year. They cut him. A lot of people aren't mentioning he also signed with Baltimore's practice squad just a couple weeks ago, and then after they made a trade for a safety, they cut him as well, and now he's been available for free agency. The Bears went and signed him after he visited Hallis Hall yesterday. So he did visit Hallis Hall, and he came in, I'm assuming, this is my assumption, I'm assuming in that visit he sat down with Ryan Poles and with Dennis Allen and talked about, he just signed with Baltimore's practice squad. So obviously there's got to be a little bit of humility that's come into him since that time, in his rookie season where you see the highlights there. Obviously, there's got to be a little bit of humility, and the Bears are going to say, look, we got a young team. We don't want you to be a cancer in here, but we also see, you look down here at the bottom, and I'll get me out of the way again. You've been playing primarily with Dennis Allen in the slot role, outside and corner, less, safety role, a little bit of strong safety, a little bit of Jaquan Brisker type role, but more in the slot Kyler Gordon type of role, just to give perspective for Bears fans. What can you do for the Bears? How can we make this a fit? Does this something you want? Because if you look over here, it was more about his friction with his teammates, but his discontent with his role. He expressed his satisfaction in his role with the team's defensive scheme, wanted to blitz more frequently. Look at how much Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon have been blitzing, and look at how much of a liability Nick McLeod has been for this team. It's pretty clear that CJ Gardner Johnson is coming in to help while Kyler Gordon is on the IR, and we need help with those packages because with Kyler Gordon gone, it's really hurt this defense. You saw when he came back how much it helped. You saw when he was gone how big of a liability Nick McLeod is. The Bears just did not address that room enough, and for some reason, they don't want to use Josh Blackwell in the slot, in the nickel role. So in comes CJ Gardner Johnson. He's going to be a lot happier in his role here, and he's back with Dennis Allen, where he didn't have issues with New Orleans in these first 3 years, other than that fight with Javon Wims, So other than that, in which, he wasn't the instigator, Javon Wims was, obviously, pointing in the face of Anthony Miller didn't help things, but, you can do that. You don't swing punches. That was more Javon Wims, who's the culprit there. So CJ Gardner Johnson, hugely talented athlete. I've compared him in actually the other way around. When we were looking at drafting Nick Emenwari, for those who remember in the draft, the Seahawks went ahead and got Nick Emenwari. When Nick Emenwari was, I was like, we got to grab Nick Emenwari because he's like the ultimate size safety. You can put him in the slot if need be. He's just a weapon. Well, when we didn't need him as much as other positions, I compared Nick Emenwari to CJ Gardner Johnson. So it's funny that a player that this is the same size type, he's not quite as big as Nick Emenwari, but they're very similar. They're both huge athletes that can play hard, hit hard, and they disrupt the defense or the offense on the defense when they're playing. So I'm very happy with this signing, as long as all the check marks, they sat down yesterday with him at Hallis Hall with, Dennis Allen and Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. Hey, this is what we're expecting here. This is a team. We can't have any of the off-field stuff. You got to be happy with your role. You got to be a team player. And I would assume that happened if they signed him, because they met with him yesterday. They signed him today. I would assume that happened. So I'm going to go forward with optimism, because those off-field issues seem to be limited to his role as much as less on-field, more off-field. But he's back with his first coach that really did well with him. So where does he fit in the Bears scheme? This is the opinion of Adam right now, okay? And I'm still not happy with the Nahshon Wright on the outside. I really hope Tyreek Stevenson is back, because you got Terrell Smith, Jalen Johnson, both out. That's your outside corners that are really your 1-2 in man coverage. But Tyreek Stevenson starting as long as he's healthy. And I would assume in the nickel, while Kyler Gordon is on the IR, CJ Gardner Johnson is going to be your nickel right there. Nick McLeod needs to take a seat. Jalen Jones, I would like to see start. If those who didn't see, I posted it yesterday on social media, but I didn't, do a ton on the channel here. Jalen Jones was the 14th highest rated cornerback last week in his lone start. They didn't even start, actually. In his lone role, he had 36 total snaps, not quite as many as Nahshon Wright. Nahshon Wright had close to 50. But Jalen Jones was more of the impact player. They didn't dare throw against Jalen Jones, and when they did, it was limited, and he was hip to hip, and he was right there. He tackled it, limited them to 9 total yards on 2 catches. Anything deep, he was hip to hip, and they didn't have any issues with Jalen Jones' coverage. So I would hope Jalen Jones would move up until the Bears actually do that. Nahshon Wright I'm just going off the Bears depth chart right now. This is not officially released by them. This is where Adam thinks things are going to line up and stand. So I'm hopeful that Jalen Jones starts. Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Jones, and CJ Gardner Johnson would give me a lot more confidence than Nick McLeod, Nahshon Wright, and Josh. Nobody there. Nobody is the third one. So I hope it's Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Jones, and CJ Gardner Johnson. But right now, we're going to say Nahshon Wright's probably still starting until the Bears make that switch. But they've got to be reviewing those things. They've got to see that Jalen Jones was very valuable last week as well. All right, let me know in the comments your guys' thoughts about this one. Obviously, a hard-hitting player, very talented defensively. I didn't go deep into all the stats. I apologize. I'll put it here on the screen if you guys want to pause it. You can see here. All right, through his career so far, he's got 33 pass breakups, 19 interceptions. So here's your coverage grades here. Here's your alignment, and you can see, here's the box, and free safety is going to be your safety positions. Here's your slot and your corner. That's going to be your outside or your Kyler Gordon nickel type positions. Your tackling, forced fumbles, 2 forced fumbles over his career, 128 stops, and most of those coming when he was into the slot. So that's huge for the Bears, needing those defensive stops and helping with the run game, stopping the run game. His tackles, 305 over his career. Quite a few total pressures in that first couple years when he was playing in the slot. So that's good. Here's his coverage grade, pass rush grade, tackling grade, run defense grade, defense grade. I know that's small on your screen. I apologize, guys. The highlight wasn't to show everything from PFF. I just included on here because I think it's valuable information. It's not the end all be all, but it is valuable information. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Pause that, check it out if you want to. But what do you guys think about CJ Gardner Johnson being a Chicago Bear, helping solidify this defensive back room? I love it. I just really hope that he responds well to Dennis Allen, and that it's an opportunity after signing with Baltimore's practice squad. I have to take this as an opportunity for him to say, I want to revitalize, I want a chance with the team and try to prove himself with the team. Kyler's going to come back, so that's probably not going to be here, but he's going to want to be on his best behavior type of thing, best behavior. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm pumped. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe. Till next time, Bears, bear down.
Bear down, sports making Chicago proud.